Hi, this is Karma, your sustainable podcast. I am Lena, and today I will speak with Fabrice from H2 Power. Have fun!
How did I get here again?
Hello Fabrice, welcome to my podcast.
Hello, Lena. Good to be here with you.
Yeah. And would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. So I'm French, and I worked for initially for a large retailer in Europe called Castorama for 4 years in Italy, and then went back to get an MBA and worked for the fourth aluminum producer at that time called Péchinet, and that's where I met my wife. And she was doing a 1-year technology transfer, and a few years later, I followed her to Chicago 25 years ago, in fact. And since then, I created my own firm 20 years ago. So that's my 20th anniversary as a consultant in international business. And the firm is FB International LLC. And in 2019, I created with my business partner, H2 Power.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is H2 Power and what are you doing there?
So H2 Power is a Chicago-based company created in 2019 to develop a global infrastructure for clean hydrogen for transportation and power generation. And we found the technology using aluminum and a small level of tin to produce spontaneously hydrogen, pure hydrogen in a few minutes. We collected all the knowledge possible, and we want to develop an infrastructure that is for clean hydrogen without the burden of other technologies.
Okay, so what was your motivation to found H2 Power? Was it the technology?
Well, at that time, as a consultant, I was working on a project and I was looking for a hydrogen or clean technology, most likely hydrogen versus electric, for an automotive project. And every day I received hundreds of emails, and one email caught my attention because there was a fine line said, nanogalvanic aluminum powder for the production of pure hydrogen. So it associated two terms. One was for what I was looking for, hydrogen, and the other was aluminum. So knowing about aluminum a little bit, I looked into it, and in fact, it was at that time the US Army looking for licenses for their technology. And it took us maybe 10 days before making the decision with my business partner today to apply for the license. And 8 months later, we were awarded the global license, exclusive license on this technology for transportation and power generation.
And when was this?
And we started in 2018, and we created H2 Power in 2019.
Okay, and could you please tell me a little bit more about about the aluminum powder?
So yes, so the powder, and I'm gonna show you how it looks like. This is, I don't know if the camera shows well.
Yeah, I can see it.
So you see, it looks like aluminum, a little bit shinier because of the tin in it. So it's a very nano-sized particle powder that is very stable and reacts spontaneously in few seconds with water when mixed with water. The advantage is aluminum is safe, meaning we need to have precaution when we package it and transport it. However, it's environmentally friendly. Tin, the same. And when you mix the powder with water, you collect on one hand hydrogen, but you collect alumina. So aluminum oxide or aluminum hydroxide, who are two commodities already sold and produced every day today. So we have also a byproduct that is valuable to some industries because this alumina is clean. Doesn't come from the treatment, the mining of bauxite and the treatment of bauxite. The other property interesting of this powder is that it can be compressed in pellets, which is safer to handle. And we are making progress. Our engineers and industrial partners were able a few months ago to make this. The light is not very easy, but I can tell you that this pellet is the world's premiere. It's the first large pellet made of aluminum powder. So what does that mean is that the reaction, whether compressed or not, is the same. So that means that this pellet, if put in a larger container or reactor, as we call it, will produce more hydrogen in a few seconds and few minutes. Compared to other technologies, it's also 100% productive, meaning efficient. So now we are learning with our PhDs and engineers how to harness this powder, so we can control the reaction safely and produce hydrogen anywhere, and pure hydrogen without the need of wind farms, solar panels, and many other expensive equipment.
Wow. Okay. So how could this hydrogen technology implement into the transportation and power generation industry sector?
Yes. So today is really the bottleneck for the hydrogen industry and transportation mostly. And for the development, the infrastructure is something critical that all OEMs are looking for. And so we are developing something that to make it simple for the infrastructure to develop. The first thing that I told the engineers is, as a boy, I grew up with Legos, and everybody understands Legos, right? So you put the blocks together. Well, I told my engineers that I want a system that is modular, based on the size of a container. Everybody understands what a shipping container is. So one Lego block is a container ship size. The small, and everything will be based on this side to facilitate the installation, to facilitate the transportation of the equipment on site. And all we need is access to water, tap water, with some restrictions, but it's only chlorine. We don't want any chlorine into the water. But besides this, water, any type of water would be good. And electricity to run the computers and the valves and the system. But we don't need as much electricity as, for example, electrolysis by far. So this product line is being developed as we speak. The first one will be producing 5 kilograms of pure hydrogen per hour. So roughly, we are designing it for specific applications who want 40 kilograms per work days, and for them it's 8 hours. So we're talking about 40 kilograms per work day. The two other, and it will be another world's premiere because it will be the first mobile station, meaning we'll put the container on the back of a truck, hopefully a hydrogen truck also, and bring the station to the location where the users need this hydrogen. Fill the tank of the equipment or the vehicles they have to use and go back to base or go somewhere else for another delivery. So that's the first one. The second mixer is going to be, the two other mixers will be fixed stations, 4 refueling stations, and will include 2 or more containers. And they will have a capacity to run for 24 hours, but also to produce 400 kilograms of pure hydrogen a day over 24 hours. And the bigger one will be 1,600 kilograms of pure hydrogen. over 24 hours. And these are designed to be also scalable. In other terms, you can start with a 400, replace it with a 1600, or to put them in parallel to adapt to the volume needed. And because we don't need installations of wind farms, substations, batteries, and all those things, we simplify the access to infrastructure by reducing by twofold at minimum. We have an expert in Canada working on this as we speak, the capex needed. So instead of investing everything in one station, we can make 3 stations basically. So that's what we are working on right now.
Oh, that's really interesting. So you're working on this infrastructure for the supply of hydrogen. Could you tell us a little bit what progress has been made on this? So, I mean, is there already a station? No, I think. Or when is the planned opening, maybe, to have one of the mobile or the fixed station?
Yes. So you know, when we obtained the license in June 2019, we started with a blank page. Not even the Army had the data that we have today.
Yeah.
So we started from scratch and developed. Facing COVID, we still kept some momentum. That's why I can show you things really happening. We have also a reactor. We tested the reactor. And that's why now we don't claim it on social media, because we don't want to fall in the trap of social media.
Yes.
And I'll explain later why.
Yeah.
So we keep very simple. The best way I would say to follow us is to look at our page on LinkedIn. That's where we're gonna communicate with the outside world.
Okay.
And our website, obviously. But we have all these basic components now for the equipment. In parallel, we also work with the Army, the team at the Army, to develop the industrialization process for the production of the powder. And we have to bring these two sides together, the powder, and on the other hand, the equipment to harness and produce the hydrogen safely on site.
Okay.
So this year, for the plans for 2022, we are very busy because our engineers and PhDs are working on these developments, but also we're working with partners on sites, demo stations, production sites. We're partnering with some companies who are related to the business, either because they are clients and they need clean hydrogen for their businesses, or they have an activity that can generate waste material, aluminum, to be recycled.
Wow. Okay. So then, I mean, to come back a little bit to the sustainable topic. So what are you doing in the office and in private to be more sustainable?
So I just mentioned the recycled aluminum because that's where we want to be, to not only produce clean hydrogen, but also to clean up the planet using this recycled aluminum that can be recycled indefinitely. So that's very important for H2 Power. At the office, well, we are lucky because we are located in a gold LEED certified building that is also the second oldest skyscraper. And living in the great city of Chicago, I can use public transportation. The city has a very well developed European style public transportation. We have the metro, we have the buses, and it serves well the region. And for me, I'm lucky. I'm taking the bus from my home, and the stop is in front of my building, and I get to look at the lake every day. So that's something that I do every day. Also, 6 years ago, we started to use Office 365 at the office,
Mm.
using the cloud to reduce paper and ink consumption, and facilitate also the communication, the archives, and all the good things that go with it. At home, well, we started a few years ago by replacing, that Freon was bad, and we needed to change, so we changed it. So we are environmentally friendly for the furnace at home and the air conditioning. But also, we replaced all our windows to make sure that they were more efficient for both insulation in winter, but also during the summer. We have a blue tint that prevents UVs also to heat too much inside. So we don't use too much energy to keep the place cool, because some summers are very hot in Chicago, as you may know. Also, the other point is that at home, my wife is a mechanical engineer. That's why we met in France. But she was also an urban planner. And her specialty was transportation, but also water conservation. And so we kept some good practice here. We recycle our Christmas tree, a natural Christmas tree every year for mulch and for the trees. But also we collect all the leftovers from the vegetables, and she loves cooking. So we collect all these things to do some compost for the plants or her garden. Okay. And we kept a European habit to walk a lot. We're lucky we live in the city, by the lake, by the beach, and we are surrounded by public transportation, but also a lot of restaurants, bars, and all the commodities for grocery shopping. So we go regularly to go shopping and do things like this, errands by foot. And because we are close to the beach, we take our Bernese mountain dog pretty frequently also to the beach and the dog beach.
Okay, that sounds really good. Okay, do you have any tips for my audience?
So for the audience interested in environmentally friendly activities, I would say at large, first and foremost, I would say it's a very friendly warning. I understand that today there's a lot of brouhaha, I would say, in with regard to hydrogen, clean energy, and all those things. There's good things and less good things. So it must be very confusing at times for non-educated people or from outside industry to find out what is the good thing or what is not. For giving an example, wind energy is great. It has been around for quite some time. I can say almost 20 years, because the first wind farms were installed in Germany. And wind farms have been helping to move in the right direction of green technology or green energy. That's fantastic. But very few people know what it takes to have a wind farm. And even lesser know that they have a life expectancy. And most thousands of windmills in Germany are coming to end of life these days. The problem is you cannot just replace it by a new one. So one, you cannot dispose the blades because they are made of carbon fiber and composite materials. And it's forbidden in Europe to get them or to bear them in the ground. So a lot of them are sent to the US, mostly California, where it's still possible to bear them. I saw some technology, some architects are trying to use them as a foundation for bridges, for example, but it's a very big problem. The second big problem of windmills is, wind farms, is that the thousands of tons of concrete and rebars that you need to get rid of that are underground that you never see on the picture. And that's the foundation. So all these things makes it harder for wind farms, because you know that at the end of life, you cannot just replace the rotor and put a better one. You need to apply for new permits. And nowadays, Europeans don't want to see more wind farms. So that's a very difficult, it's a challenging time for owners of wind farms. And you need to look at all the parameters to better understand what's going on so you can make a wise decision. Same thing applies to solar. Solar panels are on paper wonders because you use the sun, okay? But like wind, if there's no wind or no sun, you don't have any electricity. So you still have to have a backup either with batteries or connection to the grid to supply the energy. But solar is today affected by the global political environment, knowing that the majority of the panels are made in China with processes that are questionable at times, to say the least, and the ingredients of these solar panels are not all environmentally friendly. And it's a matter of time before the glass of a solar panel will crack, leak some bad material into the ground, and all of a sudden you have remediation involved when you replace the wind farm. So you need to look at all aspects of the industry. Same thing applies with hydrogen. Hydrogen, the cheapest is, as you know, SMR, so gas reforming, natural gas reforming. And the industry, mostly the gas companies and the oil producers, are claiming that's the cheapest. Yes, but to produce 1 ton of clean or hydrogen, they produce 7 to 12 tons of CO2. So as I tell my contacts or my partners that it's like going to a restaurant. Everybody has a choice. You can go to have a nice meal where you're going to pay more for good ingredients, healthy ingredients, and eventually a good glass of wine along with it. Or you can go to a fast food restaurant, pay cheap, fill your stomach, but not necessarily improve your cholesterol, diabetes, and things like that, right? So today, investors have a full patchwork of options, and I admire some for making decisions in investing because it's not easy. What is the right parameter, the right mix? Because that's another thing. When you look at electrolysis, another technology that produces clean hydrogen, you need a tremendous amount of electricity. Is it wise to use this electricity to make hydrogen to produce electricity later with all losses along the process and heavy investment upfront? Or is it better to produce simply to keep this electricity to supply industrials and consumers like yourself? I mean, looking at the crisis of energy in Europe, the price of electricity is going through the roof. The same for gas. And why is that? You look at the context, it's really speculations. So all these technologies that I just mentioned have plus and minuses. It's just a matter of identifying the best application for each of them. Okay, so at the end of the day, the way I see it, in 10, 15, 20 years from now, I would say we'll see all of these still there, probably new technologies coming up, and more focused on one particular application. Okay. So regarding H2 power, well, same thing. We're another technology, except that we lined up a lot of benefits. You know, I'm not going to throw a stone at anybody else. We do our due diligence, and maybe that's the big difference. We are not pretending to be the king of the road and the next big thing. We just want to do the right thing. And one big step for us is to be as transparent as possible. We use aluminum And for cost reasons, we want to focus and benefit for the environment. We want to focus on recycled aluminum. So we want to promote the benefit of recycling. And you'll see recycling for other materials as well be the next big thing around the world, because there's too much garbage going to the ocean, the land, and all those things, and all these materials that we need to recycle. So that's one big thing. We want to use recycled aluminum as much as we can. The modular system works very well received by potential clients. And again, it goes towards keep it simple, stupid. We want to make it easy for the architects, for the investors, for the business to operate. It's a plug and play and all safety around. That's a big motto for us. As I said earlier, we want to make it simple. So just hook up to tap water with electricity, connection to the internet, so we can do a remote control, so we can schedule the delivery of the powder, the collection of the alumina, a no-brainer for the operator of a station. Our weakness is access today to scrap metal. It's an established business. It has its circular thing. It's a routine. However, we don't recycle enough aluminum. There's tons of aluminum scrap being shipped overseas. That's an issue for the aluminum industry today. Germany exports about 1 million tons a year of scrap metal that goes to China. Now, maybe not, it goes to India and other places. France exports roughly 400,000 tons a year. So we see, you see, this 1.5 million roughly for us represents 140,000 tons of pure hydrogen a year.
Yeah.
So we want to make a call and find a way to inform people and say, listen, we can help you to recycle by putting you in touch with some collectors, waste collectors, or you do as much as you do sorting of your waste, you know, plastic, paper, and glass. Well, we'd like to have another one, not only for the cans, the aluminum cans, that's certainly needed, but any other things that you have in aluminum, please do so at your individual level. The next thing we call on industrials. If you are an industrial and you have a manufacturing operation, we want to hear from you so that we can collect eventually your aluminum to reduce our cost, and you'll see the benefit at the pump, because that will allow us to reduce the cost of our hydrogen at the pump. And by getting everybody involved, then we all win. We clean up the place, Earth, we clean up the air with hydrogen. And the benefit is everything we'll consume can be recycled and repurposed. So we all win in this great technology. So please tell your audience that they are more than welcome to follow us on LinkedIn. It is the platform we chose to communicate with the outside world, and exchange with us. If you have any suggestions for the collection, if you have of aluminum, if you have resources that you want to make available to us, or want to work with us for the long run in giving access to your scrap, feel free. It's the best way. Or go to our website, h2psolutions.com, and send us a message. We'll get back to you, and we'll engage in collaboration, because at this point, since we have the tremendous advantage to be available anywhere where you have access to water and a road to bring the equipment on site. Okay, so we can be anywhere. That's another advantage we have compared to solar, wind, and SMR. So we reduce considerably the headaches and the cost of this infrastructure, as you can see. And that's what motivates us every day, because we know what's at stake and we can't wait to demonstrate it this year.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. And thank you for the information about H2 Power and what are you doing. It sounds really interesting, and I'm looking forward to follow you and see what's going on.
Thank you,
Okay,
Lina, for having me.
Yes, of course. Okay, bye.
How did I get here again?
Do you like Karma? Then please subscribe.